A lot of people are surprised to learn that you don't have to eliminate carbohydrates to fix your blood sugar. In fact, the fastest way to bring your numbers down isn't about cutting out an entire food group. It's about adding the right foods. Foods that work with your body's own biochemistry to reverse insulin resistance at a cellular level to keep blood sugar in a healthy range. I'm Dr. Kabir Hari Singh, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly which 10 foods help lower your blood sugar and how each one works. Stay with me through the whole list because number 5 may be the most powerful one on here, and it's the one most people skip over at the grocery store. But here's a quick disclaimer. Even though I'm a doctor, I'm not your doctor. This is educational information only, not personal medical advice. Always discuss decisions about your health with your own doctor. Let's start with something important. What's actually causing blood sugar to stay high? Before we get to the foods, I want to explain what's happening in your body, because when you understand this, then everything else is going to make more sense. When you eat, your body breaks down food into glucose. Then your pancreas secretes insulin, the hormone that moves that glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells to be used for energy. When a person is insulin resistant, their cells stop responding to that signal properly and glucose stays in the blood, inflammation builds, and blood vessels become more damaged. Over time, that's how we get things like diabetes, fatty liver disease, and a whole bunch of other problems. So the foods we're going to talk about aren't just lowering a number, they're targeting that underlying mechanism, improving how your cells respond to insulin, slowing the release of glucose into your bloodstream, and reducing the inflammation that makes the whole problem worse. Let's start off with number 1, fenugreek seeds. Now, fenugreek is used as a spice in a lot of foods, and its effects on blood sugar are impressive. It contains a rare amino acid called 4-hydroxyisoleucine, which stimulates your pancreas to release insulin, but only when blood sugar is actually elevated. This means it helps your body appropriately respond to an increase in blood sugar without dropping your blood sugar too low. On top of that, fenugreek is loaded with a soluble fiber called galactomannan, which forms a gel in your gut that physically slows down absorption and blunts the sugar spike after you eat. There was a 2020 meta-analysis that showed fenugreek can reduce fasting blood sugar, lower A1C, and even improve LDL cholesterol. But here's an important note. If you're already on medication for diabetes, please talk to your doctor before adding this to your routine, because that combination can potentially drop your blood sugar to an unsafe level. Alright, number 2, cinnamon. Cinnamon has been called nature's insulin sensitizer, and once you understand how it works, that nickname will make more sense. Cinnamon contains an active compound called cinnamaldehyde, which activates a specific cellular pathway that your cells use to respond to insulin. Think of it this way. If insulin receptors are locks, and insulin is the key, then a state of insulin resistance would be when the locks are rusty or stiff. So cinnamaldehyde oils and greases those locks so they work properly again. Also, cinnamon slows gastric emptying and inhibits enzymes that break down complex carbohydrates. So you're slowing glucose release into the bloodstream while also moving more of it into your muscle cells. A 2024 meta-analysis of 24 randomized controlled trials confirmed that cinnamon supplementation reduces fasting blood sugar, A1C, and markers of insulin resistance. Number 3, grass-fed beef. Yes, the right kind of red meat can actually help lower blood sugar. Grass-fed beef has a higher concentration of omega-3 fatty acids, including conjugated linoleic acid, which acts on a receptor in your cells, the PPAR gamma receptor, that's actually the same target as a diabetes medication called pioglitazone, name brand Actos. Activating that receptor enhances blood sugar uptake into the muscle cells and reduces liver glucose production. Beef is also rich in L-carnitine, which helps move fatty acids into your mitochondria to be burned for energy instead of accumulating as fat in your liver. And it's packed with B12, iron, and zinc, all critical cofactors for energy metabolism. Unprocessed red meat is beneficial, but don't overdo it, and always pair it with plenty of fiber. Number 4, avocados. Avocados work on that same PPAR gamma receptor as grass-fed beef, but through a different compound called oleic acid, which is a monounsaturated fat that improves cholesterol metabolism and helps your body burn more fat, including fat in the liver, both of which are directly tied to insulin resistance. Avocados are also rich in potassium, which supports proper cell membrane function and insulin release. There's a study showing that adding just half an avocado to a meal improves satiety, that feeling of fullness, for 3 to 5 hours afterwards, which means less snacking, fewer glucose spikes, and better overall blood sugar control throughout the day. Number 5, broccoli sprouts. Okay, This is the one I said you'd want to stay for. Broccoli sprouts are the young, immature sprouts of broccoli seeds, and they contain a compound called sulforaphane that kind of reprograms your metabolism at a cellular level. Sulforaphane activates something called NRF2, essentially your body's internal dial for inflammation and oxidative stress. When NRF2 is switched on, it activates a whole network of protective genes that reduce inflammation and protect your mitochondria. But here's the part that's really remarkable. Sulforaphane also tells your liver to stop producing new glucose when levels are already high, which is how the diabetes drug metformin works. So you're getting a food-based version of one of the most prescribed diabetes medications in the world. Number 6, chia seeds. When chia seeds absorb water, they form a viscous gel, and that gel physically slows down the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates in your gut. You may still absorb the same amount of sugar, but it enters your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once, which prevents those sharp spikes after a meal. Chia seeds are also rich in alpha-linoleic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that reduces chronic inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity. There is a meta-analysis showing that chia seeds significantly decrease CRP, an important marker of inflammation. Moving on to number 7, eggs. Eggs seem to be a controversial food in nutrition, but when it comes to blood sugar, they're actually working in your favor. Beyond the protein and healthy fats, eggs are packed with 2 specific micronutrients that matter when talking about blood sugar, and that's choline and leucine. Choline helps move fat out of the liver, which restores insulin sensitivity, and leucine, an amino acid, supports lean muscle building, and the more muscle you have, the better your body can control blood sugar because muscle acts like a glucose sponge. So the more of it you have, the better your blood sugar control. Number 8, fatty fish. Salmon, mackerel, and sardines are among the best dietary sources of EPA and DHA, the biologically active omega-3 fatty acids that directly reduce chronic background inflammation. And chronic inflammation is a big driver of insulin resistance. Less inflammation means your cells respond to insulin more effectively and clear glucose more efficiently. Next up, number 9, walnuts. Walnuts have some of the most fascinating effects on blood sugar of anything on this list. They increase a hormone called adiponectin, which is essential for glucose regulation. And a 16-week randomized controlled trial showed that daily walnut consumption improved both adiponectin levels and fasting glucose. Walnuts are also rich in magnesium, which is critical for maintaining insulin receptor activity at the cellular level. And their alpha-linoleic acid content helps stabilize the membranes surrounding those insulin receptors so they function more efficiently. It's a food that works on multiple levels simultaneously. Finally, number 10, chickpeas. Chickpeas are one of my favorite tools for blood sugar management, and they work through several mechanisms at once. They're rich in amylose, a type of resistant starch that digests very slowly, blunting that glucose spike. They also contain a fermentable fiber that your gut bacteria convert into a short-chain fatty acid like butyrate, which strengthens your gut barrier, reduces inflammation, and activates an enzyme called AMP kinase that tells your body to use glucose more efficiently. To get the therapeutic benefit, shoot for at least 1 cup of chickpeas a few times a week. You can do this in things like salads, soups, or even hummus. You don't need to go low carb, cut out food groups, or overhaul everything at once. Start adding the foods we talked about and you'll start targeting insulin resistance at the root. Not through restriction, but through addition. If this were helpful, share it with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one.